So, one of the more important papers, the individual papers that I got before I got the little black book from Doug Atkins, one of them was called The Three Mermaids. And the Three Mermaids, this one interestingly kind of crosses from his personal diaries into this writing, into why he ventured on this path of mysticism without recognizing that he was, as a foundling, which he did not know he was as a young boy, but he was, by hearing this paper, will give you a bit of an idea of who John Hugh Roberts was as a young man, as a very young, as a child. It's called The Three Mermaids. The publication, again, this was published a few years ago, and in it, again, as I did with the same format as the others, I have the original here in color showing on parchment paper, which, if you notice, it might be a little bit richer in color, but it's virtually the same. And then also the Illuminations that Leo Del Pasqua did for me, and I'll show you the full size version of it after I read this. Now, as a matter of fact, this one probably just about the whole, I'll read just about the whole paper. So I will use the copy just so I don't mishandle the original. His handwriting was so fine in the 1890s. You'll see it as close-ups in other parts here. So, The Three Mermaids. In the year 1800, at a young ladies' school in the west of England, three young ladies, heretofore strangers to each other, became fast friends. Their names in full were Mary Mortimer de St, Mary Temanmaur Young, and Mary Morvin Evans. The first was a native of the west of France, Brittany. The second of the west of England, Cornwall. And the third from the west coast of Wales. The curious part about them is that their names all nearly have the same literal meaning. John, Young, and Evans all mean young, and the second name, Mortimer, sea of the house, Mercury, Temanmaur, house of man, place of the sea, Morvin, sea of the mount. And because of this reference to the sea, doubtless they received the name of mermaids. When I was a boy, the three resided in Cornwall, and once every year, with others, visited this famous stone circle and certain cave and relics, observing some ceremonies, the object and nature of which at the time was unknown to me, particularly the one on the seashore, in which I always had a chief part to play. I was taught to say a number of verses in a language unknown to me by then, but which I have lately discovered what it was, or partially so at least. MME, Mary Morvin Evans, married one Captain Roberts, a native of Cornwall. The other two, as far as I know, were never married. The oldest son of Captain Roberts also became a captain and part owner of a ship. I was taught and believed that he was my father. But recently I have discovered that he had saved me when a baby, not a month old, from the shipwreck of his ship, on board which I had been since the second or third day after birth. And he had adopted me as his son, my own parents having been lost in the shipwreck, whoever they were. If I'd only suspected these particulars when I was young, and any of the three mermaids alive, I myself have discovered the secret. I might have discovered the secret. But the three are long since gone to kindred spirits. The first to go was my reputed grandmother, when I was about 6 years old. On occasion, I was the chief mourner, according to custom. Very strange indeed were the circumstances in connection with the funeral. But as those belongs properly to the next number of the translator, I shall confine myself for the present to a strange discovery I did make, while the two were yet alive. Aunt Mortimer and Aunt Young, at the time, I had no suspicion these two had any hand in the discovery, but I shall give them the benefit of the doubt I entertain at present. It was the discovery of the stone book. One of the most remarkable books ever written by man. By man, I do not mean one man, for hundreds of men have written this book, but all of it is after the same rule or manner. Although there are 3 distinct periods, and each have the distinct character, again, if I had had any idea about the contents of the book at the time, I might have copied such parts that would be most interesting to the reader and myself. What I actually did copy are not lacking in interest, however. They shall appear in future number unless I shall be fortunate enough to be able to take a facsimile of all the book and stones, or on one point I am under moral obligation which I cannot break, and I shall give the facsimile. It must be the whole of the book, and that without any notes or comments whatever. But if I do comment or explain any part or parts, I cannot give the facsimile. That is the law. Further, I must confine my comments, remarks, or explanation to the facts as shown by the key, and not strain the meaning to suit any particular idea or theory, or refute such. The facts and facts only is the law. In connection with the stone books was a manuscript purporting to be a translation of part of the same, on one signing itself Reverend, and there's a space here. And this is called the Lurpa Lach, and is in very old-fashioned English. Although the merit of the translation, I do not undertake very high opinion, but it has been a valuable help to me to translate the hieroglyphics and songs of the mermaids, to which I so often in my youth listened. I've also been great benefit, but more than all was the ceremonies. More than all was the ceremonies, which I observed at first because I was taught to do so, and afterwards because those in whom I had the highest faith did so. After they were gone and I was left alone to perform these particular ceremonies, I began to doubt their utility, and the facts which appeared in conjunction with them seemed at one time somewhat hypothetical to me, but I never once failed to observe them nevertheless. And now, since the contents of these hieroglyphics have given me a new light and a key to this wonderful stone book, it is a great satisfaction to me to be able to continue the observances of the remarkable ceremonies without one break, and not knowing the meaning thereof, I can do so intelligently and with the proud faith, and if need be, I can laugh to scorn the sophisty of those pretenders and supernaturalists, and scientists so-called, who pretend to teach people philosophy of the true nature of which they actually know nothing at all. As for the Three Mermaids, I cannot say how far their knowledge reached, but I know the fact they were the mediums of a remarkable mystery. I have repeatedly heard their questions answered from below the sea, when they performed the ceremonies on the sacred shore of Temanmaur, and it may be news to many readers to be told that if any of them will take the trouble to stand on San Badrick or Kai Gwyndoth, which are in Cardigan Bay, or any such as was at that time the land of Temanmaur, at a certain time of the year, and the passage of certain luminary over the sea that now covers the sacred land of the ancient gods, Nergos, between whom and the Druids there was an everlasting covenant that shall fail. Here's something they shall never forget.